Welcome to Life Wisdom Network, your source for career success. I'm Felicia Zimmerman. In part 5, we're going to look at something that's very challenging but often essential, networking by phone.
Hello everybody, my name is Ed. So Felicia, how do I network by phone?
Well, Ed, let's imagine, for example, one of your professors was very impressed with your work in whatever course and economics or whatever, and he wanted to refer you to someone. Unfortunately, you're on the East Coast and the person that he's referring you to who's in a company in California. So you're not going to fly out to see someone for 40 seconds. That doesn't make sense. But what you're going to have to do is call this person. But there's some things involved with that. First of all, even if your professor refers you, don't count on your professor writing a letter to his friend and getting it done. You should be stepping up to the plate, and you could say to your professor, Professor Jones, if it's all right, and I'll copy you, I'll draft an email to Dr. Peterson talking about that I've been referred by you, that I'm majoring in this, I'm interested in that, and would love an opportunity to speak with you by phone about how to enter into this industry. The purpose of an email is twofold. Number one, understandably, as I just mentioned, you're on the East Coast, he's on the West Coast. So you need to find a convenient time for him. Now, I'll just mention this to you. I've gotten phone calls and texts in the middle of the night from people that didn't remember that I'm in a different time zone than they were. There's nothing like being woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning by a ping, let alone a phone call. So that's the first thing, is to send the email to establish a time that's convenient for the other person. But there's another reason. And the other reason is to turn what could be a very cold phone call, after all, you're not seeing this person, you've never met him or her, into somewhat a little warmer. Why? Because you introduce yourself, you have an entree, hopefully. Someone has referred you to this person, most likely. You talk a very little bit about yourself, what you're hoping to achieve, and how you'd appreciate any guidance from this person. So the email is worthwhile, but there's a little more. When you get on the phone call, it's a very, we're in a global world. It's global world of work. And you just don't know. That person may have said, call me at 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time or Shanghai time or whatever. And then suddenly something has changed. He or she couldn't let you know that quickly. So it's a good idea, is this still convenient? Again, what that conveys to the other person is you're savvy about the world of work and you're polite. But there's something else. Obviously, with talking by phone with someone you've never met, you may want to engage in a little bit of small talk. Now, I would differentiate this kind of networking by phone where you don't see a face. You might see a face if you do a Skype call or WhatsApp or whatever, but you don't really see a face. You might also have a delay if you're talking internationally. So you want to have a little small talk. You might talk about the weather. You might talk about a sports team that won or lost recently. Or you might even talk about how you both know the person that provided the entree. But you want to hear a little more.
I certainly do. This is good.
Well, the other thing you want to figure out, and again, you had to figure it out when you networked in person, but it's equally important, if not more so, when you're talking by phone, because the person is trying to think, so what does this guy want? And you want to think about it, okay? He's in San Jose or he's in Shanghai and you're in New York. What's the likelihood you're going to see each other anytime soon? Maybe not. But you could say, if you were going to be in California for this, that, or the other reason, you'll let him know in advance so that you can maybe meet. Or if he might be traveling through to New York to see his friend, you can have that. But most likely, you want to kind of consider that because you're not going to, I mean, obviously, you're not going to be able to say, well, I'll see you next week in town. Probably not going to happen. Lastly, I'll end on, because you don't know each other and you may not see each other anytime soon, leave the door slightly ajar by sending a nice thank you note or post-call email.
Awesome. That sounds like a jam-packed filled lot of information, but it's very helpful.
Hopefully. And hopefully many of you that have felt stymied by sending in resumes to robots might try networking instead.
Sounds good.
Thanks.